Post-Florence left Wilmington, North Carolina, isolated from the rest of the state before a limited access route was cleared Monday. The route allowed much-needed food and water through to the coastal city. On Tuesday, relief workers will begin distributing packaged meals to more than 60,000 people stranded there. CBS News correspondent David Begnaud reports from Wilmington.
Look at that line to get gas this morning at a Costco in Wilmington. It was nearly a quarter-mile long by 9 a.m. First in line was Vincent Olivides, who waited.
Today, since 2 o'clock this morning.
Right behind him was Ray McVeigh.
Things. I have all the caps off, tucked. All I have to do is drop the tailgate, pull things out, lay the caps down, fill it, slap it, and go.
This Costco, where they were all in line, had about 8,500 gallons of fuel today. The pumps were dry by 1 p.m. Getting both fuel and food to Wilmington has been a challenge. Road closures have turned the city of 120,000 people into an island. Every primary road is closed into and out of Wilmington, meaning private citizens cannot drive out of the city to get supplies, and evacuees can't return home. For a fifth day, the Watson family has been without electricity and desperate for supplies.
How low are you on fuel?
E.
You're on E.
I was just charging my phone. That's the only way I can charge my phone, too.
We told Kiafa Watson that the city will start distributing meals tomorrow morning. Without gasoline for his car, though, he told us he and his wife Brittany and their 8-year-old daughter Malia might have to walk.
Okay, we have to walk 10 blocks, just 10 blocks, as long as we together.
No need for the Watson family to walk. I just checked with them and someone actually brought them fuel. They're good. As the sun sets over Wilmington, still quite bright tonight, you can see how many people are still in line to get gas. I'd say there are probably 300 vehicles, Elaine, at this mobile station in Wilmington where we are. In fact, a fuel truck just showed up. But what these folks don't know is that the gas station is supposed to close at 7 o'clock. Here's the deal. Tuesday morning, 10 a.m., here in New Hanover County, 3 distribution centers are going to open. At those centers, people will be able to pull in and pick up enough food and water to last them for 4 days. So if you've got a need, they'll have it. If you don't, and you know someone who does, tell them about this. Elaine?
Bit of good news there, David Begnaud. David, thank you. Joining me now is CBS News weather producer David Parkinson. All right, so David, we've seen the reports there from David Begnaud, from DeMarco Morgan. It's not raining right now. Tell us what's happening.
Well, so the interesting thing where David Begnaud is that route that they opened up for the convoy is affected by tide. It's using Route 17, and so we're trying to move some folks around in that area, and they're like, look, you can't go at high tide. The road becomes covered again. So it's still essentially an island with a little bit of a land bridge for like an hour or two. So. They're going to be in it for a quite long period of time because all of the rivers have to make their way downstream. But in terms of the people who are next to see the storm, it's going to be into parts of Virginia, which is seeing it right now, into Maryland, Pennsylvania, and then on into New England. The center of the storm, ironically, is actually in West Virginia right now, but everything is loaded off to the east. We've actually seen some tornadoes this afternoon. Those are kind of typical, but you usually get them closer to landfall. This is a little bit late to see that, but we've seen tornado warnings galore in central Virginia. We expect them to see that for a little bit more tonight. And then it's really the heavy rain that we're dealing with over the next 24 hours. But I think the Carolinas are in much better shape tonight than they were last night, for sure.
Much better shape, and yet we saw in DeMarco's report there, for instance, where he is, the Cape Fear River is still rising at this point. I mean, how much longer do you think we're going to be seeing these floodwaters rising?
Right, so they're still projecting at 19 river gauges that they've laid out that will be at either record or major flood levels. So any river that you see in purple there is either at major or going to be at major stage. So where DeMarco was is actually at moderate. He's going to major by tomorrow to hit that 62-foot rise. So there's, depending how wide and how deep the river is, you could see another 10 or 15 feet. You could see 5 feet, depending exactly where you are. But that's all on the central Carolina rivers. Then the Cape Fear River goes all the way down to the town of Wilmington. So though Wilmington won't be that badly affected by the Cape Fear River, everywhere along the way as that water comes down, as the water comes down the Neuse River, as it comes down all of these rivers that are right here heading to the coast, all of that water has to make its way down from the tiny little streams and tributaries. The interesting thing too is if you look, so many fields are flooded, so many roads are flooded, all of that is eventually going to drain somewhere, probably into those rivers. So the rivers could stay at that that major flood level well into the weekend and into next week in some cases.
So which areas have been most dramatically impacted by the hurricane and why?
So, I would say without question the worst impacts were right along the coast for sure. And what's interesting is they got so much rain. We're running into a point where the map actually doesn't know what to do with that much rain. So basically it's a scale of 0 to 26 inches. And then once you hit 26 inches, the scale starts again.
Wow.
So when you're looking at all of these places right here on the right-hand side, you're noticing that there's a whole new scale there, and that means that they've exceeded the 26 inches that the scale maxes out at. You're seeing some spots somewhere around 3 feet. They'll go back and do some analysis because the radars were down for a couple hours, but realistically that's where the most rain was. But anywhere that you even see that white or black, that's over a foot of rain, so you can see that extends well into central North Carolina. And as anyone in central North Carolina will tell you, whether it's in Charlotte or in Raleigh or particularly in Fayetteville and Lumberton, they got the storm just as bad as the folks on the coast did.
I mean, is the rain done for North and South Carolina at this point?
For the most part, right? So you can see that the state is dramatically clearer than it had been by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. There's still a couple showers on the coast, but the folks who were driving out today were saying it just doesn't stop, and it really doesn't, because they're just these heavy bands. But the focus of it really extends farther north into New England. By Wednesday, that's the day when the last drop of rain from Florence will have fallen in the Carolinas, and then they're dry for at least into the weekend, and we hope for a while longer. We're trying to resolve a couple weather patterns, but we're certainly hoping for them. But as you can see, the additional rainfall total up to an inch, maybe somebody gets another 1.5 or 2 inches, but this is a markedly better map than 24 hours ago, or certainly several days ago.
Okay, not quite done yet, though.
Not quite, but that's why you have to listen to your officials, because if you never know when those rivers are going to come up, they know far better than you and have got it all planned.
All right, good advice. David Parkinson. David, thank you.
Sure thing.